This is Locked On Bets, the daily betting show that means business from the Locked On Podcast Network. Hosted by Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers, they're dropping fearless picks with an inside edge to put money in your pocket. If there's action, they've got the lock. This is where smart bets start. It's Locked On Bets.
Welcome to the Monday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports with you. As always, we appreciate you making Locked On Bets your first listen of the day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. So much to go over from this past weekend. Week one of the NFL just about in the books. We have a couple plays on Vikings Bears Monday Night Football to wrap up week one from Soldier Field in Chicago. So that is coming up. Also, couple baseball plays. We'll recap the weekend as far as our plays, and it was a winning weekend, so want to talk about that, and also a couple other news and notes as well. So with all that being said, before we get to the football, Lee, still have a big baseball card tonight, and let's begin with a blowout special.
Oh boy, last one out, turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
And let's begin in the National League East. The Mets and the Phillies, they meet up. Big one there as the Mets still trying to make up ground on Philadelphia with a couple weeks left in the season. And Pete Alonso, what do you like with his player prop tonight, Lee?
Wow, what a series this is going to be. The Mets need to at least take 2 out of 3 if they want to have a chance to get the division crown. You know, otherwise they're staring straight at having a wild card, and they don't want that. So I think they're going to be ready to go here. And who are they facing? Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola, who used to be great, and I loved watching him pitch and was dominant. He's maybe, if they get to postseason, their 5th starter, and I don't think they'll go with 5 starters. I think he'll be relegated to the bullpen. Has a 6.78 ERA, and if you watch him, just his facial features and the way he reacts, I mean, doesn't have the confidence. I wonder if he's pitching and taking a little bit longer. You know, when you're indecisive and you're not dominating, you fidget a little bit long. Just doesn't seem like he gets on the bump and starts his motion quicker in the past year than he did the year before. He's, like I said, much slower, it seems like, this year because of that indecision. It seems like he's trying to paint the strike zone instead of throwing the ball and thinking too much. He's going to face Pete Alonso, the polar bear. And Pete Alonso has a 327 career hitting average against him, and he has 6 home runs here. Polar bear hits a lot of doubles, a lot of home runs. I think we have the motivated team here against a weak pitcher. Just not the same here. Pete Alonso, over 1.5 total bases here, -110, blowout special.
And the Mets open up tonight 7 back of the Phillies in the East, so they're probably going to have to be relegated to the wild card. They're the 3rd wild card team right now in the National League. Mets did lose to the Reds yesterday, so it's still a little interesting there. But we'll see how that series turns out. The Mets can make up a little bit of that deficit coming up this week. All right, taking a look back, Lee, at how we fared over the weekend, since we had picks throughout the week and didn't grade them until the weekend. 5-2-1 in the football picks, and also a winner in UFC, but worked out very well in the NFL, Lee, as you had the Cardinals was a winner, Broncos was a push. I had the Jaguars as a winner. So that's a good first week so far.
Yep, that's what we're looking for. And like I said, the UFC stays hot. We've won 12 of 15 cards and had two underdogs. Obviously, we had Imavov in the main fight win, and he dominated. He won 4 or 5 rounds. One card had him winning all 5 rounds. I had him just win 4 to 5. And if you're with us on that, we had a 35, which is a very big play for the UFC as an underdog, plus 150 to 160. Benoit Saint Denis, he ended up choking out one of the fighting nerds. So that was a huge win for us. Most people don't give out big underdogs, but the last 2 fights were both underdogs on the show. We had the main card underdog. He was plus 110 to 120. So another productive card there and another winning week for us now. 7-9 winning weeks if you're listening to the show and following our plays and betting them.
Yeah, the NFL, we did well. College football, a couple losses. Michigan fell to Oklahoma. Also, Rice couldn't come through against Houston. Did cash with Iowa. They closed at 3.5 against Iowa State. Again, these teams, like it's almost like impossible to get to 21 with these teams. It's like blackjack. They just can't get there. It's always these crazy 19, 16, 17, 14, 18, 15. They just can't get to 21. Iowa State ended up winning, but still Iowa took home the money.
Yep, they did. And they're going to have to, I mean, they ended up taking a transfer quarterback with 55 career starts coming into the year from South Dakota State. And they look better than what they have, but it's still not good enough. You know, Iowa's always one of these teams. Every year at the end of the year, you see they're 8-4. And I guess that's good enough for their fans. Most of them, I'm sure a bunch are upset and want to take it to the next level. But you know, it's hard for them. You know, if they don't have a history of having wide open football and throwing the football, if you're a quarterback, why are you going to go there? They always have pretty decent running backs, offensive line, play good defense and special teams. Just not enough, especially in today's, way college football is played.
Looking back, Lee, at the top 25 in college football, and you didn't have a lot of great matchups this week like we saw in week one, and that's fine. But a lot of the big favorites didn't cover. Penn State didn't cover against FIU. That was I would say it was a close game, but it was competitive for a while. Texas, They finally got a win with Arch Manning, but they didn't cover against San Jose State. Texas A&M didn't cover, and they're winning against Utah State. Clemson trailed against Troy. They had to come back to win that game. Georgia struggled against Austin Peay. Miami didn't cover against Bethune-Cookman. LSU didn't cover against Louisiana Tech. South Carolina didn't cover against South Carolina State. Auburn didn't cover against Ball State. Just crazy how all of that turned out. We're going to talk about that, but also the big upset, though, USF going into Gainesville and beating Florida, one of the Grammaticas with the game-winning field goal at the end. So South Florida at 2-0, and Billy Ball not looking good for him.
No, I mean, South Florida, Alex Kroll's doing a great job building a program there. I mean, that's a defining win for them. That changes the program. And now they go to Miami this week. So in Miami, looks like they're going to play. So they start off playing Notre Dame, top 5 team. Now they're playing 18th ranked South Florida. Then they got Florida, who could jump back in the ratings. Who knows? But they'll be on the periphery of the top 25. And they got, I mean, certainly a lot of pressure on them. And Billy Ball, he's facing pressure. They could start 1-5. They start 1-5, lose the next 4 games, all against top 25 teams. He's in real trouble. He's probably gone. And then Florida State, Miami has coming up. So people make fun of some of these ACC schedules, but Miami certainly has a really tough schedule to start the first half of the year. So just a program-changing win for South Florida. Congrats to them. I thought they were the better team. Another player spitting. Oh, no, it was a late hit, the Florida player. So just dumbness by some of these kids can cost them the game. And congrats to South Florida. And we were talking about these teams. Also on top of just these top 25 teams not covering, the top 4 quarterbacks who are widely regarded will probably go in the first 10 to 15 picks. Talking about Arch Manning, Cade Klubnik, Garrett Nussmeier, and Lenore Sellers. All did not look great. In my opinion, I'm a former college quarterback. I study these guys. Not one of these guys has stood out as being, this is a top 1, top 2 pick. And they might develop, but right now, I mean, I just don't see it. So I think New Orleans is tanking. They're not going to accept anyone in a trade. Maybe the Dolphins offer him Tua, but if I'm the Saints, I obviously wouldn't accept. He's not he's not going to change that team and make them any better for the long run. So, sometimes you can tank, and I obviously think that's the narrative for the Saints, but there's not one of these guys that I really want.
Now, quickly on a couple of things in the NFL, the Browns, they should have beaten the Bengals yesterday. It would have been another week 1 loss for Cincinnati, but missed extra point, missed field goal. A lot of guys hitting the post yesterday. A lot of field goals missed at the end. Atlanta missed a field goal at the end to tie against Tampa Bay. But what about that Jets-Steelers game, though? The back and forth, you're expecting a low-scoring game, and you get the exact opposite in the Aaron Rodgers, Justin Fields revenge game, in a sense that they flipped around. And Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if you want to say he still got it, but 4 touchdown passes, that's pretty impressive there in his Steeler debut with no preseason.
I think both teams are feeling good about themselves. They had questions on offense. Steelers, the question was, do they have, running backs that are good enough? Do they have a second, third wide receiver? So they have to feel good about themselves. And even the Jets in a loss, I think they found their quarterback for the next couple of years in Justin Fields. They'll have a different type of, offense in most teams. But as long as he stays healthy, they're going to be productive. I think neither team was too worried about their defense. They'll be just fine on defense in the end. And then the Bills game against the Ravens. I mean, it'll probably go down as top 2, top 3 games when we look back on the season. I mean, trailing by 15 points with just a couple minutes to go in the game, and to somehow find a way to win that game, just incredible. So that was fun. And you get back to the Cleveland Browns. I mean, they are horrific. The play calling on offense is terrible. And Joe Flacco, I think is 39, looked 59, couldn't get out of his own way, can't block for him. So bad teams are staying bad. And the only team joining them that was pretty good, probably the 12th, 13th, 14th best team 2 years ago, that was actually, I think, 2 or 3 games up on Buffalo late in the season, was the Dolphins. They are clearly a top 5 team, and their owner is horrific, usually starts from the top down. General manager Chris Greer has made mistake after mistake. Obviously, taking Tua 5th overall was a bust. Could have gotten Herbert, and that would have changed the program, and then mistake after mistake. And then the coach, I mean, it looks like you're going to see players, anyone who's decent like Hill and Waddle, probably one out soon.
Yeah, we'll see even how long McDaniel lasts. I mean, I'm not going to say you fire him now, but they're 0-5, 0-6, 1-7, something like that. Maybe Stephen Ross makes a change midseason, and then they start fresh again next year. We still have Monday Night Football to get to. Vikings-Bears to wrap up Week 1 tonight, and it's the debut of, Ben Johnson's debut as the head coach of the Bears, and we'll see what Caleb Williams has to offer here in the primetime spotlight. A couple of plays on Vikings-Bears, also another baseball play. All of that is straight ahead. You are listening to Locked On Bets. Let's talk now about FanDuel, and we've told you about FanDuel all of last week, and for good reason. Why? Because the NFL is underway. Finally, it is here. Week 1 wraps up tonight with the Vikings and the Bears, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And what are the advantages of FanDuel? A lot of them. You could bet on sides, on totals, on money lines, all in these NFL games. You have Washington, Green Bay to kick off Week 2 on Thursday, and a whole lot of games coming up next week. 2 Monday night games next week as well. So you have a lot there from just the team standpoint. What about player props? You could bet on the player props as well all throughout FanDuel. And also, if you want to kind of look ahead a little bit, you want to go to Super Bowl champion, AFC, NFC champion, MVP. We saw the games that Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen had last night in that Sunday night shootout in Buffalo. So you have an opportunity to even bet on the MVP, on Offensive Rookie of the Year. All of that you can do at FanDuel. It's really a great time of year to do so. Are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. We continue here, Locked On Bets on this Monday. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. We'll get to Vikings-Bears in just a bit and look ahead to that Monday night game. We have 2 Monday night games next week, so that should be a lot of fun. Do you like, really quickly before we get to that, do you like the 2 Monday night games, the doubleheader?
Sure. I'm usually starting to do my work for the next week. I'm looking at stats and things like that, but I can watch 2 games at once. I have a man cave with a a 70-inch TV up top and 255s below. So I can certainly watch 2 games. Remember, so often one of the games is on a commercial. So 2 games is easy for me, and yeah, twice the pleasure.
Yes. So let's now continue with another baseball play for tonight.
What the fuck? WTF.
Changing things up, Lee. No hidden gem for me today. Hidden gem. No hidden gems today. Wrong team favor. We're going to do that. And we're going to look at an AL Central showdown in Cleveland. The Royals and the Guardians meet up. And I am going to go with the Kansas City Royals in the first 5 innings tonight against the Cleveland Guardians. And here's why. Our guy, Slade Ciccone from the University of Miami, he had a good start to the season, but struggled of late. In the first 5 innings, his last 7 starts, he's 0-5-2. So that's no good. Also, Cleveland has not been good in home game ones of a series in the first 5 innings. Last 13 series openers at home, first 5, 2-10-1. So we're going to go with the Kansas City Royals. They're off kind of an ugly performance against Minnesota on Sunday. We'll see if they bounce back tonight. And the Guardians are back home after a nice series against Tampa Bay. They took the final 3 there on the road. But let's go with the Royals tonight. First 5 innings against the Guardians.
I love it. Slade Ciccone, even though a big fan of his from watching when he pitched for the University of Miami, definitely scuffling right now. And this is where the pressure, heats up, and he's just not getting the job done. And I think he's going to have a tough time.
So we'll see how that one turns out. And we shift from baseball to football. We're going to have Vikings Bears lock of the day in just a little bit. But right now we have a player prop. And now it's time for a hidden gem.
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
Jordan Mason of the Vikings, who was the backup in San Francisco behind Christian McCaffrey, but now with Minnesota alongside Aaron Jones, and his rushing prop tonight. Lee, what do you like with that against the Bears?
Yeah, so most people will never take a backup running back going over the total, especially when the guy that's ahead of him is usually a big name. And we're not talking about like 12, 15, 18 yards. Usually you see totals like that for a backup running back. Why am I going to take Jordan Mason? Well, I think the game plan here for Minnesota is run the ball. They are going to face a Chicago team with a quarterback that's basically a rookie quarterback. He got hurt in preseason last year in J.J. McCarthy, and he's on the road, and they don't want to put him in 3rd and long situations. And I think they're going to split up the carries here. I think they're going to run the ball 40, 45 times. I think that's the game plan. And they just don't want to, like I said, put him in situations without his second best receiver, Jordan Addison, who's suspended for 3 games. So you have to know the personnel. You have to kind of figure out the way the head coach is going to try to, structure his game plan. And I think the game plan here is, like I said, play keep away, not make mistakes. And Jordan Mason is one of the top, I think, 3 or 4 backups in the NFL. And Aaron Jones just can't take these kind of hits. Really good running back, but he can't take getting pounded and running him 22 to 25 times. So I think he's going to get 10 to 12 carries here. And the total is high, especially for a backup running back. So it's high at 35.5 yards for a reason. So usually when you see a total too low or too high, like I said, they figured out these odds makers aren't dumb here. So if he gets 10 to 12 carries, I think he goes over the 35.5 rushing yards. My hidden gem here, Jordan Mason over 35.5 rushing yards, minus 130 should be a cashing ticket for us.
I know we'll talk more about Vikings Bears coming up in just a little bit, but you mentioned J.J. McCarthy, and very curious now. He had the ACL tear last year, so we never got to see him. And Sam Darnold had a career year for Minnesota. He's now moved on to Seattle. They lost their opener to San Francisco yesterday, but that's one where you say, okay, now J.J. McCarthy, is he the future of the Vikings? Now is his opportunity.
I mean, it's right there. It's not like they have any type of backups there. You know, they've got Carson Wentz and Max Brosmer. They don't have any confidence in them. So, you know, Carson Wentz was brought back after towards the end of the preseason because they realized they had nothing. So there's no one looking over his shoulder. So unless, you know, they start off horrific, 0-3, 0-4, they're not making any moves. They're not going to try to pick up a Tua or, you know, something like that. So I think he looks good. I think he's going to be fine. But, you know, you really want to put it in his hands with really only one next level receiver, Justin Jefferson, who's coming back from an injury and didn't play at all in preseason. After that, their other two receivers are Jalen Naylor and Adam Thielen, who they just brought over from Carolina. They're not gonna scare anyone and make too many big plays.
And the defense will carry them with Brian Flores. And you saw how good the Vikings defense was last year. So we'll see how that all turns out. So with all that being said, coming up, we will break down Vikings Bears for Monday Night Football to wrap up week 1 as we continue here on Locked On Bets. Locked On Bets continues here on a Monday. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports as we take a look at week 1 of the NFL, Monday Night Football from Soldier Field in Chicago, Vikings and the Bears. That is our lock of the day.
Open it, open it, open it. Lee has the key to the lock of the day.
Pretty intriguing matchup here. We'll see what kind of magic Ben Johnson can work on Caleb Williams and the Bears. They have some decent talent at receiver. We'll see if Caleb Williams can make that next step. And the Vikings, obviously, them being a playoff team last year and J.J. McCarthy's debut tonight. So, Lee, Vikings, Bears, what do you think about this matchup?
So this game might come down to the wire. I mean, the line is 1.5. The Vikings are favored. We saw so many games that were tight yesterday. I mean, you know, the Jets game against the Steelers, the Falcons game, you know, was crazy and tight against Tampa Bay. Do we really want to base a decision based on one play, could be great or bad, an official's call, which could go either way, you know, or maybe a field goal going off the goalpost? I'm going to take a different approach, and I do use this only in the NFL, not in college football, because points are cheap, really, unless you get a total under 43 and a half. I'm going to take a look at a 2-team 6-point teaser. So a lot of times you got to lay 120 to 130, but I think in this case on Monday night, I think it's the best way to attack the game. I think it's going to be a tight game here. I think J.J. McCarthy, you know, they're going to try to protect him. Like I just said, they're going to run the football a lot. When you run, it takes more time off the clock. I think Chicago is going to do the same with Caleb Williams. I think that they can't expose him to 3rd and long. So you got two really good defenses here. Chicago's a top-tier defense. Minnesota, a top 5 defense with defensive coordinator Brian Flores. So I think that the game plans are indicative and tell you the type of game it's going to be. But let's say you see a special teams touchdown or, you know, some crazy stuff like a long 75, 80-yard touchdown to start the game. Why not take a 2-team 6-point teaser, and you can manipulate the line 6 points? And what you're trying to do, almost the only time I will ever do a teaser, is I want to move it past the four major key numbers. 4 major key numbers where games fall on the most are 3, 4, 6, and 7. I'm going to take the Chicago Bears plus 1.5 and move them up to plus 7.5. Go over those 4 key numbers. And I'm going to take the total of 43.5 and move it up to 49.5 and play under. A lot of games, you know, finish 44, 45, 46, 47, even 48 and 49. So figure out the combos there. I just think also Chicago getting a couple new offensive linemen, want to run the football. The Vikings, as I mentioned, are going to be without Jordan Addison. So just don't have as many explosive players. People know the receivers for Chicago, but Chicago throws the ball underneath a lot to their tight ends. So we're going to go with a 2-team 6-point teaser, Chicago Bears plus 7.5 and the under 49.5 for a level 3 lock to start the week. All the way up.
Yeah, and this Bears team, again, they're trying to figure things out too. Both teams are. Bears with a new head coach, Vikings with a new quarterback, and when you have two good defenses, that just makes you feel more confident to think they're not going to be a lot of points scored, that maybe you get in the 20s, maybe low 20s, something like that. So we'll see how that one unfolds tonight between the Bears and the Vikings. Bears get the Lions next week, so already a couple division games out of the chute for Chicago. So, Lee, another big week coming up. We have college football resuming on Thursday, and we have NFL Week 2 starting on Thursday with Washington and Green Bay. So what do you have going on with Paramount Sports?
Well, our player props have been red hot. I mean, we started it this year. NCAA player props in football, 7-2. They are up 225 units. NFL player props started the year Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, up 325 units. And how good have they been? 7-2. So we are ready to roll on all our player props and firing away. So combined 14-4 record on our player props. We priced it at $597. All our other yearly prices are $1,597 to $1,997. First year only, you can get on it. $597 for combined college football player props, which are released Friday afternoon to early Saturday morning, and the NFL player props, which are released Saturday afternoon to at the latest early on Sunday morning. Just $597. ParamountSports.com. We also hit our big 40-unit max wager, biggest play of the weekend on the Baylor Bears for our clients. So you want to hop on board, all the specials up and available, just one place, sports.com.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Bets as the audience keeps growing every day. Also, you can find our podcast as well on your favorite audio platform, Locked On Bets. You can find Leon X at Paramount Sports, myself at Rogers Picks. We'll be back with you tomorrow as we will look ahead to this week in college football as well as the NFL for Week 2. For Lee Sterling, I am Kevin Rogers. Thank you so much for tuning in to Locked On Bets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.